Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled parents. In today's episode, crazy liar dad finds out where I live and attempt to give my apartment to his random friends without my knowledge. An entitled father tried to get me kicked out of the store for having big breasts. Found this gem on a babysitting group I'm in. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Crazy liar dad finds out where I live and attempt to give my apartment to his random friends without my knowledge. To add some context, I'm F25. My parents are so crazy to the point to where me and the majority of my family had to cut them off. For me personally, my dad completely, and my mom calls on occasion. My mom also tries to overstep, such as inviting him to family events he's specifically not invited to. The reason is he tries to steer every conversation and attempts to talk about himself. PPL usually don't care or want to hear them. He argues with PPL, threaten their lives, and she purposefully does these things knowing they'll cause an argument, and she gets joy out of it. So needless to say, sane people don't want these issues in their lives. My dad is delusional and narcissistic to the point to where he thinks he's famous, and claims everyone runs up to him for pictures and says he's famous and someone he knows is making a movie about him. Lies about it obviously, because no one has ever seen this and it's a running joke. People laugh at him, he thinks it's with him, not at him. He's lost all of his friends due to his poor behavior, such as arguments, belittling, non-stop phone calls. But to the story of his lies and delusions. I have an apartment and I didn't give him my address because we aren't on speaking terms, and threatened my life because I wouldn't give him my personal info so he could take out loans in my name. Like, that's an obvious no. Also, I didn't grow up with him, so I barely know him. He has apparently told people he has an apartment, mine, that he lets his daughter, me, live in. This is what I've been told. He likes to pretend to be a big shot. So I guess he told some people who needed a place to live they could stay at his spare apartment. He got my address from a family member, I assume my mom, due to the fact that no one I know speaks to him. One day I get a call from my apartment building manager saying there are some people at the gate saying they're here to move into your unit. Is this correct? I was just as confused as she seemed, as well as the people he sent to live at my place. He somehow thinks it's his place. Mind you, it's my place, I pay the bills, and I didn't even know he knew my address. So I go out to meet these said guests as there was much confusion. These three people, three random sketchy older looking men. Side note, I would at most let a friend stay a few nights if needed, not random strange men. I ask, what's going on? My building manager stayed because she wanted to know what's going on and wanted to help sort it out, and she would also know who's moving in and out because she's in charge of leasing and the building isn't that big, we all know each other. The three men proceed to tell me they're moving in their place, we're here for the keys. You're his daughter, right? He said you'd be out by the time we got here and keys would be at the front desk. We all looked and I said, do you see a front desk? I asked to see what was the address. We thought maybe wrong address? Nope, my address. So the guy said your dad said he kicked out cause he said you're freeloading and he had you leave the keys at the non-existent front desk. By this time all five of us were confused, but they had my address. I said he doesn't even have my address, so how he got it. By this time they're trying to call him to sort it out, he's not answering at the moment. So I explained to them, how he got this address, I haven't spoken to him in about a year, and how I'm freeloading or what he's told you, but this is my place, what's going on, y'all need to figure it out with him, but I have no place for you, Sray. They try to get me to call him, I said no, and calling won't change anything, and this isn't my prob, so I can't help you. By the way, they didn't seem threatening, it was just random and weird for all. I hear one guy on the phone talking to my dad, I hear him telling him she's lying, etc. Ask her to show you the lease. At this point me, one of the guys, and my building manager are all looking like this is odd, and he looks embarrassed. My manager stepped in at this time luckily. She told the men, you all must have the wrong place, she's on the lease, the only one. You will all have to leave and sort it out. I can say despite them looking sketchy initially, they were as calm as could be in their odd situation. Because in all honesty the only fault they had was believing my dad. They thought they were moving into an apartment for free. If I was in that situation I wouldn't be happy either. After apologizing and before leaving, I heard one of them saying, "I knew something was up, he always lying." I asked, "What did he tell you?" One of the men said he told me he had a spot for him to move in, all furnished and paid up to the rest of the year. I kicked my daughter out cause she's freeloading, but claimed he couldn't get out of the lease. I said something like, "Well, like your friend said, he is a liar, cow. Why and what made him do this? I never gave him my address, he isn't on a lease, I don't even talk to him. So, I'm sorry but hope it works out." What my dad thought would happen. But like I said, he's delusional. He probably assumed all he was saying was true. Or maybe he assumed there was a front desk and whoever was at the front desk would just magically let 3 random PPL in. And I'd have no say? It's also crazy that I can't even attempt to understand. There is no use, lol. Also, I told my manager thanks, and if anyone ever comes when I'm not home, please give me a call or call 911. If I have a guest coming, I'll be home to greet them. That's scary. And mental illness. Stay far away. Yes, that's the plan. I don't feel in danger, but I'm considering moving again just for peace of mind. Yeah, he's full of mental illness, and probably believes his delusions. I haven't been bothered since, but vigilant. You may want to get police involvement over this. This is dangerous, and lucky for you these men were reasonable. However, now that he has your address, there's no telling what kind of stunts this man will pull. He sounds unstable and unpredictable. What if he pulls this crap again and the next group takes it out on you? Yes, it was the best of a bad situation, but I'm sure the police won't do anything at all, considering he hasn't harmed me and there's no proof of anything. I'm just staying vigilant. If something happens again, I'll call 911, but I'm hoping this won't happen. An entitled father tried to get me kicked out of the store for having big breasts. So, the only reason why the entitled parent in this story didn't go to prison was because I was 18 at the time, but the fact that this happened the way it did still pisses me off. So, when I turned 18, I started working at a call center and often walked around the city a lot in order to avoid my toxic mother. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but I was safe and always had a form of self-defense. I was young but not stupid. Anyways, that year, I experienced another growth spurt and went from a C cup to a DD cup, and I was getting a lot of weird looks when in public. As much as I hate to say it, I was pretty young and naive, so I never thought it was because of the way my body changed, but I preferred to keep my distance from people. One day, I decided that I was going to go to Walmart so that I could pick out some yarn for a crochet project I wanted to work on while at work. We were allowed to crochet as long as we didn't avoid the calls that were automatically answered on our systems. While I was checking out the yarn, I noticed a kid, who looked like he was 13/14, standing at the end of the aisle watching me. Thanks to my history of getting bullied and beaten up, I immediately grew cautious and started debating if I wanted to get my yarn here or go to the Hobby Lobby across the parking lot. Before I could make a decision, an adult man came up and started leading the son off, so I started to relax and think that I was overreacting. That is until the ED came back. "ED, excuse me, but where did you get your implants? They look so real." Me, excuse me? I was really embarrassed and shocked, and I was already getting creeper vibes from this guy. "ED, your implants." He waves his hands in front of my breasts and gets uncomfortably close to me. "Where did you get them?" Me, I was at a loss for words and didn't know if he was serious or just being a creep overall. At this moment, the kid came up and poked at my right breast, and I instinctively smacked his hand away, not caring that he was a kid. Me, excuse me, but you really shouldn't do that, especially to a woman. It's not polite, and it's considered SANSH. ED immediately got mad at me and started screaming at me to not touch his son. He said that it was my fault and that, if I didn't want attention like this, then I should keep my fun bags put away. I was in tears and looking around for an escape, especially since, the more the ED yelled at me, the closer he got to me. He started telling me that there was no way my breasts were real and that he needed to feel them to know for sure. He even told me that I needed to let the ES touch them so he could learn the difference between implants and real breasts. Remembering the fact that I had my pepper spray in my bag for any occasion where I needed to defend myself, I usually had a knife, too, but that seemed a bit extreme in the heat of the moment. I pulled the can of pepper spray and told them both to step back and get away from me. At this point, an employee turned the corner, having heard us yelling, and saw me holding the pepper spray. He freaked out and called for a manager before coming up and yelling at me, demanding to know what I was doing. Thanks to me being in tears, the ED was able to butt in and started lying to the employee that I was seducing his son and pulled my pepper spray out when the ED had tried to come to his son's rescue. The ES immediately started agreeing with the ED, and the employee was already saying that he was going to call the police while the ED demanded that me and my big breasts get kicked out of the store. Thankfully, at that second, one of my co-workers, a big, burly guy who often gave me a ride at night after hearing that I took the taxi home at night because my mother refused to teach me to drive, rounded the corner, leading a manager right to the mess. The manager demanded that everyone shut up and calm down, and, when we had, he turned to me and asked my side of the story. I told them how the ED insisted that I needed to let them feel my breasts to see if they were real and how I had already explained I wasn't comfortable and didn't want their attention. The ED backtracked on his story and tried to defend himself and EK, saying it was all for educational purposes and lied that I had agreed beforehand. This is when my co-worker got mad and pointed at the camera at the end of the aisle, reminding them that it would have caught everything. The ED and EK both went silent for a moment before making a break for the exit. The manager took off after them, yelling at them to stop, and my co-worker berated the employee for threatening me the way he did. Of course, the ED and EK got away, but the employee was fired, and I never went back to that store by myself per my friend's request. Please, teach your sons to respect women and don't harass women. Plenty of us are insecure of our bodies and don't want the attention our bodies attract, and we appreciate it if you don't make things worse for us. Also, never assume that a woman's body is fake or that you are entitled to touch it. If you don't have a weapon, go for the groin. If you don't want it to hurt, you should wear a cup. You're just asking for it if you don't. You are not alone. I was a C-cup in 6th grade and a DD by the time I was out of high school. The number of shitheads that think just because you have an attractive body they have a right to touch it is outrageous. Good on you for pulling out the pepper spray. Remember, once they touch you, anything you do is self-defense. My wife is a 36GG, natural. She has said she got a lot of attention in high school, but not the good kind. She hated high school, but she loved university, as people didn't bother her. Found this gem on a babysitting group I'm in. Thought it belonged here. Posting. Hi all. Our family is looking for a long-term nanny for our 3 children, twin girls, turned 3 years old in January, and newborn, due December 29th. The twins go to preschool in the mornings, Monday/Wednesday/Friday 8:30-12, so much of the time will be with the baby. Spanish speaking is preferred. A little bit more about the job. Pay equals negotiable weekly salary or $30-$35/week. Start date in December or early January. Schedule, MTH 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Some days you will get off before 4:30 and on a rare occasion maybe past 4:30. Wednesdays are usually a short day. Occasional Friday or weekends/nights for dates, sporting events, etc. Responsibilities would include childcare, grocery shopping, plus light housekeeping as time permits while children are at school or napping. Cleaning bottles, laundry, cooking nutritious healthy meals for the children, tidying/organizing children's room/bathroom and kitchen after meals. School drop-off/pickup required, we will provide a car. Must enjoy participating in age-appropriate educational and fun activities with toddler and baby. Must be up to date with flu and TDAP vaccination plus infant CPR certified, we're happy to cover cost of the class and or vaccinations. Must know how to swim and have water safety as we have a pool. If this sounds interesting, send me a DM and chat more. Later clarified that it is not a live-in position. Edit, I thought the same thing many of you did. However, when I reached out to ask if it was $35 per hour or $350 per WK, they clarified that they meant $35 per WK. Edit number 2, as another commenter mentioned, apparently this same post is in another group, without a budget, a few hours away from where I'm located. The posters are two completely different accounts, two different families. I'm kind of wondering if this isn't something a little deeper than a parent with unrealistic expectations. $30 a week? For 3 kids. One of which is a newborn. This lady is out of her mind. So she basically wants a nanny and housekeeper for the princely sum of 84 cents an hour? Good luck with that. Hiring a professional to do that job would cost them $30 to $35 an hour, if not more. Yes, someone who is okay looking after 3 kids for this salary is probably not someone you want to hire to watch your kids. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.